Hi, I'm Jerry Wise. I'm a therapist at Family Tree Counseling, and I'd like to talk to you today about the problems and the issue of having an affair. This video is entitled, Help Me, I've Had an Affair. I'm talking to anyone who is involved in an affair. Family Tree and our counseling practice specializes in helping folks who have been involved in an affair or have traumatized a family as a result of an affair. And oftentimes spouses who have been involved in an affair ask the question, well, what do I do now? Now that I've been involved in an affair, or an affair has taken place, or maybe my spouse now knows I've had an affair. First of all, don't panic. Second of all, don't act rashly. And thirdly, don't be reactive. One of the most important things is to try to stay calm and try to regulate yourself. I know that's not easy, especially when a trauma like this has taken place. But I think it's very important for not creating more pain and more difficulties if an affair has happened. If you have made this known to your spouse, then I want you to consider some of the things I'm going to share with you on this video. If you have had an affair or are in an affair and you're afraid to reveal it to your spouse, or you don't know the best way to heal your life and your family's life, then you need to come in and talk. Come in and talk about what you're feeling and what's going on, and get some really good professional guidance so that you might know what to do and how to handle that in a way that creates fewer problems and fewer difficulties for you and your family. First of all, for those who have shared the news that they have had an affair with their spouse, I think it's very important that you be kind to your spouse and also to be kind to yourself. Now, why do I say that? Well, first of all, of course, your spouse has been traumatized as a result of just finding out they've been betrayed, or feel as though their spouse has gone outside the marriage and have heard of this and learned of it, and they are very, very emotionally shocked and are in a great deal of pain as a result of that news. And I think, second of all, the importance of being kind to yourself. If you're the one who's had the affair, I do consider affairs rather self-destructive of behavior, because it's not being very kind to yourself if you go have an affair. Now, affairs may be a lot of fun. They may seem like they provide a lot of needs that you'd like to have met. Maybe you found as the governor of one southern state said, a soulmate. The difficulty is doing it outside of the proper context, and doing it outside a promise of marriage is self-destructive. And so my hunch is you have not been very kind to yourself for a long time, and probably a lot longer ago than when the affair started. Maybe you haven't been kind to yourself for many, many years. And so this is the ultimate kind of self-destructive act, because certainly it provides lots of pain for you and pain for your marriage. Don't blame the marriage or your spouse as the reason for why you had the affair. I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's helpful at this point. That doesn't mean I don't think the marriage has played a part in this large drama, but it's not fair to say, well, it was your fault. You made me go have an affair. Or our marriage was so bad I had to have an affair. That really is a cop-out and an excuse. We should take responsibility for our behavior, acknowledge and take responsibility for the actions you've taken, and listen to your spouse. Your spouse is going to have a lot of pain. Remember, you have a cut-off relationship with your spouse and an overly enmeshed relationship with an affair partner. Neither relationship is healthy, and I think that's very important. Pick up more responsibility for the household, maybe with the kids, while your spouse is dealing with the shock or pain. Give them some freedom to go and get some comfort for themselves and stabilize him or herself if they've just heard the news that you have had an affair. You might also want to ask for support or help from friends, from your family, from your church, help with the kids, help around the house. And remember, friends are ones who don't take sides. No one in your family, no one in the church, none of your friends have walked in either of your shoes. Your marriage and your relationship is yours. They don't know all of the facts. And so I think it's very important that they not take sides. I think it's important to give your spouse space. Be very careful not to try to get your needs met or try to feel better through your spouse. Your spouse has been wounded or injured at this point. Don't try to get comfort from them. In other words, some spouses will go and ask for forgiveness, or oftentimes the unhealthy marriage has been enmeshed, and so the person who's had an affair, say me if I'm having the affair, I want to feel better by my spouse feeling okay now that I've revealed that I've had an affair. I can't get my needs met from them now. And I think it's inappropriate to do so. We can't feel better by asking them to make us feel better. We often try to feel less guilty. Maybe we even try to ask our spouse who's been betrayed to help us raise our self-esteem, or maybe even sometimes the spouse will play psychoanalyst for why you did what you did. And I just think that type of therapeutic relationship is not a very good one at this point. Not that you don't need answers, and not that you don't need to sort it out, but I'm not sure the couple alone on their own is going to come to a real good resolution at this point. Actually, I believe neither of you know. Affairs are not about the obvious. They're often about unconscious issues. And lots of couples want to make it about the obvious, and it usually isn't. Your spouse has enough to deal with their emotional shock and pain, and right now each of your tanks are registering E for empty. So I think leaning on each other and trying to suck feeling good or well-being out of the other is just not real helpful at this point. Hold off the forgiveness issue. Don't plead for forgiveness, and be very patient. Forgiveness takes a while. I think oftentimes, too often, spouses who've had an affair want to hear those words, "I forgive you," way too soon. And it creates more difficulty, more anger, more resentment. Hold off on the forgiveness issue. Be very patient. Apologize to your affair partner if you're still in the affair. Apologize to your affair partner. Step back from them. Confusing feelings about affair partners are normal, but you can step back and get help. You don't have to continue to pursue the relationship. You may need to work through those feelings because you've made a bond with them, whether an emotional bond, a physical bond, and that needs to be resolved. Prepare yourself for telling the truth. Answer questions. Maybe plan airing times where we're going to air out what happened. And that those planning of airing times, I think, is important because you need non-airing times with your spouse too. It is not helpful to talk about the affair 24/7. It usually only re-traumatizes and hurts the relationship even more. Oftentimes the one who has had the affair wants to quickly move on, and the one who has been betrayed gets caught in an obsessive stage of not being able to not think about it and not let it go and think of many scenarios and things that they think have happened. So I think having structured times where you do that airing out. This is our time when we talk about it. For this hour, ask whatever question you want. I'll answer as honestly as I can, but then we need to put it on a shelf for a while so that we can kind of regenerate and kind of live more of a normal life for a short time. And again, we don't talk about the affair 24/7. I think it just makes it more difficult for everyone. We more typically think that men are more likely to have an affair than women, but we know from the research now that women are catching up with men. Probably, well, some say up to 60% of men have affairs. Some say up to